It's exciting. Well, I have the pleasure of introducing a couple of great gals coming up here in our first breakout session. So we have, in this session, a topic around becoming social selling powerhouse with LinkedIn. It is presented by Nicole Hudson and Heather Dopson. Let's give them a round of applause, I say, yeah? Come on up here. Nicole is the CEO of Inbound Lead Solutions in Detroit. It's a Detroit-based agency with award-winning strategies. She's collaborated to publish the Advanced LinkedIn PR Handbook and is also speaking tomorrow. And Heather Dopson is a community builder for GoDaddy, which we all know, and a recognized customer experience advocate and thought leader. Her strategies have previously helped companies like Axway and Infusionsoft. She is passionate about teaching businesses how to leverage the power of communities and social networks. So ladies and gentlemen, let's give them another round of applause.
We'll take all the applause. We'll take all of it.
But it's all you.
Thank you. Mike, you don't gotta leave. You can stay up here and talk to us. No, I'm joking. Hi, everybody. She said, no, I'm joking. Just kidding. Hi, guys. So we, since we were doing this co-presentation, we decided to do it kind of like a little fireside chat instead of us taking up the whole stage and walking back and forth. So
these are our big comfy chairs. Imagine that we're like lounged back with a cup of coffee with a
coffee.
That's not here. Oh, I'm sorry. She doesn't drink coffee. She's kind of a communist that way. Well, we're here to talk about personal branding and LinkedIn social selling and how the two really kind of fit together. So you already know who we are. We would love if you would tweet any questions to us, do some shout outs. We both have some quotas we'd like to meet for retweets, and so we're really expecting that you can help us make that happen.
So we're going to talk about personal branding today, and that's why Nicole invited me here is to really focus on the personal branding component of it. And I can tell you that as a proud daughter of the Lone Star State, a good portion of my life was only thinking that branding was something that you do to cattle in the spring. But I have since learned that personal branding and branding as a whole is much more important. And people really get hung up on branding their business and not thinking about their own personal brand. They're trying to continually make clear distinctions between a professional and a personal brand. So we're going to talk a little bit today about how you are the brand. No matter what, you are the brand. The product and the service could go away or change tomorrow. Right now, I challenge you to start thinking of yourself as a brand and what you are going to do to build that brand. Too many times people think, okay, I am a X. I am a widget manufacturer, so everything I do, I need to focus on manufacturing widgets. And they forget that part of your personal brand are things that you do outside of whatever your job is. So we can take, for example, Jason Falls. Jason Falls has a great affinity for bourbon, so bourbon has become kind of in alignment with his brand. And when it came time for him to launch a podcast, he launched it under the name 100 Proof, which ties right into this component of his personal brand. If you know anything about me, I have a thing for tacos. And tacos became just this part of my brand that was an accident. It was something that happened completely organically. So I challenge you to look for those things that you're doing or that are happening already to you in the digital space, and how you can use those and leverage them to be a deeper part of your personal brand.
No, Heather, that's really great. And I'm a little worried. Bourbon and tacos, I feel like the only thing that I have affiliated besides being a business owner is I'm a crazy cat lady.
We all have our thing, Nicole. We all have our thing.
I better get working on that. So that's one of the things that I think a lot of salespeople, marketing professionals, business owners really struggle with. And I know it's something that our clients struggle with and something that I struggled with when I started the business. I was a solopreneur, and you are the business. And so it's really hard to decipher who are you in your personal brand, as well as what is the business's personal brand. And I know a lot of our clients struggle with that as well. And someone who's going to be here today, Jay Baer, has been somebody that I've looked up to for a really long time, who has a really great definitive distinction between all of the different brands that he represents, from himself personally, to the book, to the podcasts, to the company Convince and Convert. And so if you really want to take a look at a really great example, I would look at J Bear's Properties, especially in LinkedIn. And that's a really great guide to show you how you can start thinking about how to delineate the different brands that you represent.
And by the way, when we're talking about personal branding, we're not just talking about for small business owners or entrepreneurs or freelancers or people who've got the side hustle. We're talking about you and whatever role you have. If you're an employee at a company, you still have a personal brand inside that company that is going to help you gain notoriety inside that company and outside. And developing a personal brand and leveraging that was my journey, how I got to GoDaddy. I'm only at GoDaddy because of the personal brand that I built for myself as an employee at some other places. So don't forget that you need to be you, be amazing, be better than bacon. That's why I tell people, if you want to stand out on social media, be better than bacon. You are amazing. People want to do business with you. Customers buy you first.
And in addition to that, employers or people that you're trying to connect with also buy you first before they buy whatever it is that you're representing. And so that really leads us into what we're here to talk about, is that the buyer journey and the buyer has changed. It's changed immensely. Social media, the way people consume information, the way they make the decisions. Look at this woman right here. We're all doing 10 million things at one time, and we have a millisecond to really pay attention to anything that's happening. And because of that disruption and what's changed, what people remember are lasting impressions of your personal brand or the connection or the experience that they had with you.
So there are many different places that we could talk about where you launch a personal brand and where you can maintain it. Today we're going to focus on LinkedIn. And so I still am surprised when I hear that people think of LinkedIn as a place to go look for a job, to post a resume, or to potentially get recruited for a job, and that's it. LinkedIn is far more than a resume site. And even though 5 or 6 years ago, that's really still what people were doing, LinkedIn has always had bigger aspirations. And we're going to talk a little bit about where they've been and where they're going. So in 2012, LinkedIn acquired SlideShare. And SlideShare is a platform where you are able to upload your presentations, whether you're at an event like this or it's something that you want to get out into a bigger space. SlideShare really allows you to have a much wider audience than you would if you were just on a stage or just in your office.
And another great thing for SlideShare is it really turns that news feed, especially in LinkedIn, into a landing page. So if you turn on the lead generation portion of SlideShare, a little pop-up will happen that you can make that news feed convertible, which a lot of really great conversions happen, and then they can continue on in the presentation in SlideShare.
Right, so this is important to understand how SlideShare and LinkedIn work together. And in last year, 2015, LinkedIn acquired lynda.com. And lynda.com is an online learning portal that you can go and learn how to do almost anything. It's primarily focused on professional skills. This is an effort for LinkedIn to advance their LinkedIn learning. So it's not only about you, helping you stay professional, helping you find and keep a job, helping you grow your professional community. It is also about continuing your education and your skills. We all know that we live in a day and age where our skills are perishable because everything changes so rapidly. And so with the acquisition of lynda.com, LinkedIn really skyrocketed themselves more towards a learning platform than anything else. And then in case you haven't heard, earlier this year, Microsoft acquired LinkedIn for a whole bunch of money, $26 billion with a B. So that begs the question, okay, what is Microsoft going to do with LinkedIn? So let's pretend for a moment that we're time travelers.
And that we may or may not have really super secret information that no one's seen before.
We'll say very few people have seen. Let's take a journey and imagine what the acquisition of LinkedIn by Microsoft could turn into. So LinkedIn really can become a centralized repository that connects to this whole ecosystem in Microsoft. So especially Office and then communication tools like Skype and Cortana, because everybody in here has a Windows phone, right? Okay, I didn't think so. Okay, if you do have a Windows phone, I don't mean to upset you, but sorry. So if we take a look at this, this is a mock-up of what a news feed in LinkedIn could look like with this combination, the marriage of LinkedIn and Microsoft. So imagine that you have all your appointments set up in Outlook, and as you're scrolling through your news feed in LinkedIn, you get a message in your news feed that says, hey, you've got a meeting today with Aaron Jacobs. Here's a link to his profile. Here are top 3 things that you need to know about him. Oh, and here's a presentation that might help you with your meeting today. This is real stuff that really legitimately is probably going to happen. I will neither confirm nor deny. The next thing is, what if there is a personal assistant, okay? This, in this example, this is Cortana. It could grow to Google and to Siri, potentially. But imagine just having your phone telling you, hey, you've got a meeting today with Nicole. Nicole is are you a Michigan fan?
I am.
Okay, so is that the Wolverines?
It is.
Okay, man, I'm on it. But it could say, hey, Nicole went to Michigan and the Wolverines won last night. Like it's feeding you this information so that when you have that conversation, you've got something warm. It's a warm touch already. And then, hey, do you want to see what's your history? What else have you talked about? What other meetings have you had? This one is the one that I think is most exciting, the potential here. So how many of you struggle with PowerPoint and Excel and all that stuff? Nobody? Okay, just me. The potential here is if you are working inside of a Microsoft product and you're having trouble, or maybe it's just recognizing that you're working in it, then there's the potential for the information that is included in people's LinkedIn profiles to pop in and say, hey, here are 3 of your coworkers who have PowerPoint skills who might be able to help you. Or here are people that you are connected to that have PowerPoint skills and might be able to help you. Or here are freelancers who are skilled in this area and you might want to connect with. Or if you want to learn how to do it yourself, here are some SlideShare presentations or some videos that are going to help you accomplish what your goals are. I think this is really exciting and could be really cool. So this is, again, just moving into the future. Oh, I was like, where'd it go?
I know.
Moving into the future and just looking at what the acquisition and the marriage of the 2 brands mean. LinkedIn is not going anywhere. It's only going to grow stronger, and I am passionate about people really understanding all the ins and outs and the tools inside LinkedIn that help power them.
Well, and LinkedIn and Microsoft have made a really great decision to be everything for the business community. So Apple kind of went all in on design and creative, and Microsoft and LinkedIn have really come together and started to think about what does that marketing and sales professional need from soup to nuts to create content and get it done and present all the way through the buying cycle into when someone ultimately converts. And they've really fulfilled every single touch point or moment of truth that you need to get stuff done. So with the addition of ProFinder, that really leads into what we just saw, that anyone that's ProFinder that maybe is kind of over the Upwork, or you're just a professional with a side hustle, you could really start to be popping up in those feeds for people, which would be really important. And so that kind of brings us to social selling, which is really that professional brand helps you fill your pipeline with the right people, the right insights, and the right relationships. And so I want you to think about that for a moment on how everything comes together with who you are and what you put out there, and ultimately how that helps you align and create and close the objectives that you have. And so creating that personal brand, as we've really talked about, is that first step. Then you have to go out and identify and find those right people. So you have to be searching for them, linking in with them, sending messages to them, looking at those insights about warm things that you can connect to them about, whether you have something in common, like football, or you're in an organization together, like the Louisville Digital Association. There's lots of little breadcrumbs that you can start to identify and find to build those connections with people that ultimately result in the strong relationships. And so we're not here to talk about the obvious things. Clearly, you need a professional photo. If you don't know that by now, then I have no idea what you're doing at this conference.
Yeah. So just get a good photo up there, right? Not one of you and your cat.
Cats convert still.
Well, cats convert. Cats convert. Have you guys heard that? Cats convert. What a component of the profile that a lot of people miss is the headline. And so the headline defaults to whatever your most current position is. So if you have a title, Senior VP of Awesomeness, it's going to pull that automatically into the headline. What we recommend is actually editing that headline to include keyword-rich data. That headline is indexed by the search engines in the same way that all the words in your summary are too. So you can take a look at our LinkedIn profiles, and I'm always happy to make recommendations of other awesome LinkedIn profiles that I think are doing it really well. But just keep in mind that this is your first impression, and as people are doing searches, you want your headline to stand out amongst all these others when they come up in a search. So be sure to edit your headline.
And that's really important too, because the search follows the Boolean search. So whether it's in your summary or you're doing the branded URL or any kind of content, I mean, it's following the same things that Google follows. So if you want to be known for this thing, whether they're that thing or not, you have to start putting those keywords in there because that's how people are searching. LinkedIn also launched hashtags, so you may want to explore around hashtags and do some searching. Put hashtag in a couple of different iterations and start to see, are you coming up for that? Is content coming up for that? Another thing that people forget is if you're doing a LinkedIn Pulse article, they co-match those keywords to your profile and things as well. So if you do hashtag certain subject, it will pull up not only your name, but then the last two LinkedIn Pulse articles that you did. So that whole ecosystem is really the categorization of how you're rendered in the search.
So this is a really big pet peeve of mine, and Nicole's going to cover this, but I'm really tired of getting invitations to connect on LinkedIn that are the generic auto-populated things when I don't remember. I may have connected with you, I may have spoken at an event, I may have met you at happy hour, I don't know. And if you're not telling me, I'm not sure I'm going to accept you. By the way, I don't accept every LinkedIn connection request that comes my way. What do you recommend?
Well, one of the things is please stop using LinkedIn as a dating site. If any of you have done that,
all the women in here know exactly what we're talking about.
Please also speak in complete sentences. But it's just like having a conversation or when you go up and you introduce someone at a conference, or if you're a professional networker, you understand how the triangle pass-off happens. You really just want to follow the same principles. Identify who you are. Say something that connects with them so you've done a little bit of research about what interests them and immediately come out with what your ask is or what that connection is. Or some of the things that Heather recommends is remind me, hey, I attended that conference and I asked this question and I was wearing a purple shirt in the background. So we all have that imagery recall. So really anything that just helps you be personal, not the standard, would you link in with me? Don't try to be flirty. And I would even say don't try to be funny, because I don't think that really comes off very well on LinkedIn either.
And also don't write pages and pages and pages. And while we're on this, another pet peeve just popped into my head of okay, I've accepted you, you've run through my gauntlet, and I've accepted you as a connection request, and then immediately I get this long sales letter of, hey, go check out my website, or go do this, or go do that. Like that's a big pet peeve of mine too.
Or even worse, crickets. So you connected with me. Shouldn't you say something after the invitation is accepted?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about recommendations. You have recommendations and endorsements, and I'll touch on endorsements in just a second. But recommendations on LinkedIn are essentially Yelp for us, okay? Yelp for professionals. Regardless of how you feel about Yelp, recommendations are really powerful on LinkedIn, not just for jobs. Get it out of your head that these are like, your recommendations that you put at the bottom of your resume, and start thinking about how recommendations tell the story of who you are, what you're good at, and why people should connect with you, or why they should hire you, or why they should do business with you. And recommendations can be very powerful. So 2 things. 1, I get asked all the time, how do I get more recommendations? I need people to write recommendations for me. And you guys, I have a super secret ninja trick to getting more recommendations. It is write recommendations. Okay? If if you give, you will receive. I'm not saying that every person that you write a recommendation for is going to return the favor, but let's exhibit some goodwill and let's show some gratitude for the people that we've worked with or have done a good job for us, and write recommendations for them. That then spurs them. That I'm much more inclined to write a recommendation for somebody once they've written one for me, instead of, okay, I know you got fired from your job this week and you've sent out, hey, can you write a recommendation for me? I haven't talked to you in 2 years. This happens, by the way. I haven't talked to you in 2 years, but now you're sending me a request to write a recommendation for you. So I suggest to people on Sunday nights, Sunday afternoons, when you're at home watching football or whatever you do on Sunday, sit down and pick 3 people on LinkedIn who you know and who you're going to write a positive recommendation for. These are not critiques, these are recommendations. And write 2 or 3 on a Sunday night. And then on Monday morning, when those people open up their computer and they get those emails that, hey, somebody thinks I'm awesome, just think about how you've set the tone for their week.
Yeah. No, and you're also being really good stewards for your brand. I mean, our lives are hard, and we work a lot, and we miss our families because we're working so much. And when you have someone that recognizes you for something that you've done, how awesome do you feel? And isn't that person one of the first people that you think about with whatever it is that they might be connected with? It's just a really nice professional gesture that I think humanizes both you and the other person and can help you build that relationship.
Yeah. So really quick, I want to touch on endorsements. So endorsements have been kind of this weird stepchild on LinkedIn. I know I've been endorsed for things where I go, I don't know how to do that. I don't know why you're endorsing me for that. So it's been this weird existence on LinkedIn. Well, just yesterday, LinkedIn announced 2 changes that they're making to endorsements that are rolling out now. And what they're designed to do is create much more of an affinity with the endorsements between you and your connections. So it's going to show what you're endorsed for and then what your connections are endorsed for, what you have in common. And so instead of just randomly asking you, hey, do you want to endorse Nicole for cat sitting, auto racing? I mean, it comes up with these random things, right? Like, and so it's going to start looking at, okay, what skills do we have in common? Because it's looking at the comments, the summary, it's looking at recommendations, it's looking at the content that I've posted, and it's creating affinity between us. So that's one major change that they're rolling out right now. And additionally, they're going to really start refining what those endorsements are. So instead of this whole bunch of weird random skills, they're really going to start refining that. So that just happened. That was an announcement yesterday afternoon. So I was really excited to be able to add that to this presentation.
Yeah, and then going right in from endorsements, people don't really use groups very well or really take advantage of your community. And so, for example, the digital association that we're here with today, has everyone gone in and liked that group? Have you seen who's connected with you in that group? Did you see in their feed that they might be coming to this conference? So really leveraging groups is a big deal. And I think that this is also a place that LinkedIn could actually get a lot better. So if you've done something in a group or you've tried to share content out to a group, if you don't remember what those groups that you're connected are to, it's really hard to type and get that group to pull up so you can push that content out there. So as you start to look for groups that are a good fit for you, keep a list of what they are so you can quickly refer back in notes or memos so you know what groups you're trying to post in. And always be looking for fresh new groups. And remember, if you post content, it's there to be a conversation, not just to post and run and then calculate how many people saw that content that you posted and then go back and tell your boss how viral you are. Right. That's not what it's about.
It's a different conversation, how viral you are. One of my favorite pieces of advice around not just this, but I think it applies to this, is from Ann Handley and C.C. Chapman in a book that they wrote several years ago called Rules of Content Marketing. Content rules, sorry. And it is this very simple piece of advice that can apply to many different areas of your business. Share information, solve problems, stop selling. Just stop. And that definitely applies here. What I see people take advantage of groups by just going in and blasting people with some kind of sales message. If you're going to participate in groups or you're going to participate in conversations on Pulse or on the in the news feed, make sure that what you have to say is in furtherance of the conversation.
Great advice. So one of the most underutilized places in LinkedIn, even though we all know about it, is where you can publish your own content in the Pulse section. And so this is constantly being iterated with rich content to where you can even embed videos. It just went through a refresh about a month ago. And this is a great place where, I don't know about you, but when I post and we post for our clients here, we are owning the search results for certain things within 24 hours. Now, it doesn't last a lot of time, and you can vote people up, or you can do, I think it's tips at linkedinpulse.com, and that will go to the editor, and you can potentially get featured to be hosted in the marketing solutions or whatever area of that content that it's related to.
Right. What a lot of people don't understand is when you create a post in Pulse, so this is a long form content, this is not just a status update on LinkedIn, is then everybody you're connected to gets this notification that you publish something. I'm sure you've all seen it as you've been in LinkedIn. But this is really cool because not everybody gets a notification or cares when you post something new on your blog. But this is almost this captive audience, and it gets more intriguing. And the content, the clients who I help, and when I publish using Pulse, I get much more visibility than if I were just publishing on a blog over here, especially if you're just starting out, especially if you're just launching a blog, or you don't have a blog, or you don't have a website. Like, this is really a great place to start gaining more visibility and building your community.
And don't be afraid to take that URL and post it on every single social platform. So you're driving them to LinkedIn. Because ultimately, even if you have a bio page at a company, or you even have your own website, this really is the complete record of who you are as a professional. And it's the ecosystem for most of the things that you're going to talk about professionally. And I would argue this is a better and more relevant experience than potentially going to your website or your blog, because that's probably going to be a little bit more topic focused, or focused on things that aren't all about you, because you're not supposed to constantly be talking yourself, right? But this is the one place where people expect to learn about you, and they want to learn about you in that environment.
Yeah.
So I should have had that slide up, right? Just covered that. So is there any questions about distributing content with Pulse? I mean, I know this is one of the places that we get the most questions about. Does anyone have any questions about distributing content in Pulse? Crickets?
Yeah.
What? Not a one question? We should have put somebody in the audience.
Yeah. Planned.
So some creative ways to generate leads.
Right. So for anybody who does any type of presentations, you start out with 200 slides, and then you have to start narrowing it down. So we had to pull some things out. And Nicole has put together some really great organic ways to generate leads. We decided to take them out of this presentation, but we're not going to leave you hanging. If you follow us on Twitter or go check our Twitter accounts, these organic tips have been tweeting out while we're sitting in here. So the magic of a little bit of automation here. So she put together 9 really awesome tips, and you can follow along with those. They're hashtagged on the Digital Crossroads hashtag as well. We're going to talk a little bit more about some paid stuff right now.
So this is probably one of I think everyone thinks about LinkedIn, and there's hacks and ways to use it and things to do. But one of the areas that I don't think has been really promoted well or explained well are all the different paid solutions that LinkedIn has that's even growing.
Right, so a lot of people only use a free LinkedIn account, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I myself go back and forth between a paid account and a LinkedIn account. LinkedIn Premium, okay? I don't use Sales Navigator or the recruiting tools because that's not where my focus is right now. At GoDaddy, we have a LinkedIn account, we've got Sales Navigator accounts, we've got all these different accounts. But just explore and examine what all your different options are and all these different paid levels. So if you are working to generate prospects, to fill your pipeline, and to maintain these connections, Sales Navigator is probably something that would work really, really well for you. And they always offer trials, and there's tons of training and lots of education on how to use these tools. Sponsored updates. If you have a LinkedIn company page, you are able to pay to sponsor an update very similar to a sponsored story on Facebook. This can be a very effective tactic that ties into your overall marketing strategy if you have a company page. This is not available on profiles. But it can be really cool to build relationships and to drive leads and create more visibility for your brand as well.
Yeah, and the levels of targeting are really pretty phenomenal. You can target within a specific group. So for example, if we wanted to reach every single one of you that we didn't already realize we were going to reach, we could have sponsored our post directly to the Louisville Digital Association with all of the endorsements and keywords or titles that you do in your job. You really can hone in for a fairly minimal amount of money specifically on the person that you're looking to find or the group that you're looking to find. If you've done that persona research, which is really the first step to anything in the buying funnel, that lines up really well with a lot of the advanced targeting.
One of my favorite things about the premium account is if you have a free account, you are able to see a few of the people who have viewed your profile, but it's usually only like the last 2 or 3. If I'm on a month where I'm not paying for a premium account, I'll make sure that I go every day because I want to see who's viewing my profile. This is one of the tips that's been tweeted out, is who's checking out my profile, because that may be a way for me to start a conversation with someone. If you have a LinkedIn premium account, you can see everybody who's viewed your profile instead of just having this really short window. It's really cool. Additionally, there are insights that allow you to see the people who are viewing your profile, what industries they're from, what types of companies they're working at, what their employment level is, so like supervisory, executive, all those kinds of things. LinkedIn has some really deep, rich analytics. And if you haven't looked at your SSI, which is your social selling index, I encourage you to do that. LinkedIn will tell you like how well you're performing on LinkedIn. You can only go look at your own SSI. You can't go look at somebody else's. But it's something that will help you understand how to start leveraging your own LinkedIn profile a little bit more. So you can just it's LinkedIn social search and index. Sorry, just went out of my head.
And another cool feature with Navigator is depending on what your business is or if you have sales admins or whatnot, you can build custom created prospect lists to deliver into your inbox every morning. So if you're a marketer and you're looking to try to connect with VPs of sales in X industry and you have a hard time getting all of your stuff done and keeping those people underneath busy, there's a lot of really great hacks that you can use to get people into LinkedIn, using it and connecting with people online. Yeah. So that's it.
That's it, guys. Anybody have any questions? No questions. Yeah. We covered it all. Everybody's a LinkedIn expert. Yes.
So if you write your blog article, choose Pulse over your blog article, do you just lose all that SEO you can get from writing a blog article?
Right, so great question. So his question was, if you use Pulse to write an article, do you lose the SEO that you would have gotten on your blog? You want to address that?
Yes, the answer is there's no. Depending on what your content strategy is and how you integrate content, you can do it a few different ways. So you can post a recap that's fresh content and redirect and guide them to read the whole article in its entirety in the main place you posted it. So for example, if you pick Pulse for number 1, you would do a brief synopsis on your blog and then drive people over to Pulse to continue reading it. Also, another fun thing that people do is you could do a Facebook Live or a video of the content that's been written in long form in Pulse, and you could be posting that in your blog, and it could be the video. So I think there's a lot of ways to disseminate and dissect the content to let them work together for SEO versus losing it.
Right. Any other questions? So we'll be around all the rest of the day today, and Nicole has a keynote on this stage tomorrow as well. So if you have any questions or just want to hang out and talk or drink a beer or, bourbon, sorry.
Right, bourbon.
Drink bourbon or eat some tacos, just come say hi.
Or talk about cats.
Or talk about cats.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.